Let me see if I can write this up a little bit. Let's see if this is better. Okay, so let's see. I wanted to do this video. I had recorded a video before and then it's taking too long to upload. So I was like, let me just do a quick YouTube live so that I can express some of these things in the YouTube live, which is easier obviously to upload because it's live. So it's just easier. So we are going to take a few minutes to go over something very important that I want to tell you based on my experience of working in 21 divisions, working with different energy forms, including disembodied energies, and working also with going through my journeys with sacred medicine and everything, putting everything together so that I can give you the best advice possible based on my experience of invoking spirits, but doing it with a lot of maturity, spiritual maturity, spiritual strength. And the reason why we're doing this live today is because I have noticed that some people don't understand how serious this is. You know, you see it in videos, people are mounted, they're channeling different energy forms, and some of them they lose it, they completely lose it to the point where it becomes a show for some people, but for some people it is very real and they can get hurt, especially if they're not really mounted and or they're mounted by an energy form that cannot hold the energy of what they're doing. For example, they might be over drinking, and then you notice that when you're really mounted, you don't get drunk. You finish the trance and you don't get drunk. You're not drunk because it wasn't you. But if you get mounted and you drink and you get drunk, that means that something was wrong. So how do we become spiritual mature enough? How do we gain spiritual strength, mind strength, so that we can properly be able to invoke spirits and do so responsibly? I was with a specific person that is an energy worker, and this person that supposedly works energy every weekend, every week, and is helping others, was being mounted by an energy form, and he completely lost it to the point that this person is borderline going a little crazy. So this is serious. This is serious. This is not a joke. I think a lot of people think invoking spirits is something for them to convince themselves that the other dimensions exist. And it's a show. It's a show because they don't understand. They don't understand how energy works, and they don't understand that when we come into any spiritual practice, especially 21 divisions or voodoo or any of the occult practices, and you don't have faith in what you're doing, and you don't have the spiritual strength, the mind strength, the spiritual maturity to understand how energy works and why healing yourself is crucial before you really start invoking spirits. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to give you some very specific things that have to happen before you get serious about the entities get serious about working with you. So sometimes people go into a practice because they want proof. They want to know that what they're seeing in their dreams, what they're feeling, what they think is happening is real. And they go into the practice to prove that the misterio or spirit or muerto, the dead ones, if you're a medium and so on, that they can do things. Maybe they can move something. Maybe if you mount, then people will believe you. Maybe if they come forward, they will give you what you need so that you can become financially successful and so on. And that has a lot of consequences because we're not coming to the practice, whether it is 21 divisions or something else, with maturity. We're coming from a point of doubts. We're coming from a point of feeling broken sometimes, where people are coming in and they haven't healed. They're still dealing with all their baggage. And what happens when you go into any of these practices and you work in combination? I worked in combination with my spirit team to help me heal me. I think I talked about before how my first dark night was back in 2010. I think it was 2010, 29, 2009, 2010. It was about that time frame when I went through my first dark night. Oh, it was heavy. And I don't think it left for a long time, honestly. I mean, I started getting information and getting different spirits coming through, and even these embodied energies coming through and doing things. And it was very hectic. Eventually, a couple of years later, after that, 3 years or so later, I find 21 divisions, and everything kind of worked in sync because it was the same spirits were telling me what I needed to heal on. And I took them very seriously, but I didn't know they were related to 21 divisions because I had a thing against them. I was very judgmental when it came to that. And I remember having dreams with Gran Toro Lisan and different energies, and feeling like, why are they doing this to me? And doubting and no understanding that they were working with me to help me understand the different clues about what I needed to heal. But I didn't understand, so it took me some time. But they were always there. So when we pay attention, they're always there. And that's when I started taking it more seriously, because I'm like, something is going on. I know that I'm not going crazy. But I didn't jump straight into going into any initiations. It took me time. And actually, one thing that many people don't know is that before I even do any initiations, in a dream, in a trance, it wasn't a dream, in a trance, I went into this trance. I was in meditation and I went into this trance, and one of my spirit guides, and I'm very secretive with some of the spirits that I particularly work with, because there is a lot of negativity online. I don't want any of that to infiltrate me in any way. So that's why I don't provide specific information when it comes to some things, because we know that some of that information can be used against you in the astral plane. So I'm not going to get into that. But, eventually I go into this trance, and one of my spirit guides, and at this point I knew who she was, and we had developed this beautiful relationship, and she has been teaching me her source beginnings to everything that you can think of, including different versions of this entity and different challenges that I had to experience, that she had to experience with others that were also spirit that walk with me in my spirit core. And when she comes forward, I recognize her immediately. So, I trusted her. The energy was beautiful. I mean, it was just beautiful. Um, True connection to each other. And she comes forward with another entity. And they asked me if I was ready to go through the initiations and so on. And that's how I knew that I was ready for that, because he came to me in the dream before I made it to anything else here, right? And I wouldn't have done it if it didn't come this way. I wouldn't have gone forward fully if it didn't come this way, because I wasn't going to trust anything else besides that trance state where I actually saw everything and experienced what it meant to go through an initiation in the dreams, and then eventually, in this reality, which was more like a confirmation than anything else. But anyways, so this, I forgot why we started talking about this. It came to me in the trance state, and it has come to me in the dreams where different things are being done for different purposes. But together with the mysterium, with the mystery, they're telling me what's coming up next and why it needs to be healed. And then giving me the clues about the clients that are coming and why they're coming with those issues. So it's a very in sync relationship. It's not coming from a place of, I need money, I need this, I need that. It's coming from a place of, how do I heal myself so that when I help others, I know that I am helping others, whether it is through the quantum healing or anything else that I do. So it is a very mutual, respectful, loving relationship, but it's not just me taking or requesting anything specifically, besides how do I become more spiritually aware and conscious so that I can continue my evolution in this lifetime, which is very different than coming into spirits to prove that they are spirits, to prove that there is more than this reality. So one of the spirits told me, the magic starts within you. That's where it starts. And that's how you become powerful. We humans, not just me. And that really stuck with me because the magic starts within me. I was like, what do you mean? And that's when I started going through the process of understanding truly who I am, truly who we are as humans. And the journey has been too long for me to go into that story, but magic starts within us. What does that mean? That means that if we're really looking at this, we are understanding that we are also the altar within us. We are the altar. Some people don't understand what that means either. They think that if they have a big altar, that they're going to have more power. And I have seen throughout my life, I used to go to a lot of curanderos back when I was a child because of the bone infection that I had. And some of those people that attended to me had nothing but just one little small candle. That's it. They didn't have much. Water and candle and a little candle. And with that, they did all the work that they had to do. They didn't have an altar that is 8 feet long and has 20,000 pictures and statues. It was very simple. I saw a lady once. She um, she told me, out of everything that she told me, she just told me one thing, something about the mysterios. And and at that point I was like, I was in college, and all I wanted to know was what was going to happen next. I don't know about what, because it's not like when you go to servidor de misterio and you have problems. I had no problems, but something called me to her, and it was up in the mountains. And my father took me, and she just took my hand and told me what I needed to hear, and that's it. She didn't have anything besides a very tiny, it was like this big, like her altar was this big in a little shack. The floor was dirt. She was surrounded by nature, and she had it all. It was all within her. There was no altar to see 20, 30 different saints, you know, 20 candles, and I do have a problem because I do have too many altars. But that's besides the point. My point in this case is it doesn't reveal how much power you have. The altar is just one way of you representing what's inside of you, but the spiritual maturity that you carry is what counts, because you could have 20,000 statues and pictures of different entities, and you could be so weak minded that the moment that things don't work out your way, you think that they don't work, and that's how a lot of people end up changing from one thing to another, because it doesn't work out their way. So what I noticed in 21 divisions is that a lot of those spirits are going to test you, and they're going to test you. You're going to go through periods where you cannot mount no one, not even if you want to, because there is no energetic fluid there. Like you're trying and you're like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Come back, I miss you. I've been through that too. And it's like, I think I did something wrong. Nothing is making sense. Why would they leave me? And I will go through that for a couple of weeks, and then I'll be like, remember what I already know. I just gotta respect the process and understand, what is this teaching me? Why don't I feel the fluid, the energetic fluid, like I used to, or how I want to feel it? And then when you feel it and you're like, oh shoot, what's going on? Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Then you're going back to those doubts. That means that we haven't understand how to discern energy. And because we haven't understand how to discern energy, some of those spirits may intentionally give you time off so that you can process and integrate. So there is a reason for everything. Sometimes it's because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You might be thinking that you're doing everything right, but you're not. You might be so obsessed about working with some of these entities that you forget that there is more to life in this reality. You forget to go through your own healing, or to be part of this reality, to be part of your family, to enjoy going out with your family, to enjoy being with your family, to enjoy being by yourself. Is a balance. And when there is no balance, you might notice that some of them may retreat a little bit, so that you have room to think and integrate. And then they come back when you're ready for more. And then you go through the different tests, and that continues up and down, because it's part of the cycle of leveling up each and every time. So when we start working with invoking the spirits, we have to go through a process of spiritual maturity. And I'm going to give you that process the simplest way that I can today. And I'm going to give you the steps, the way that I have understood how it has been for me and for the others that I am part of in one way or another, whether it is from elder to me or me to someone that I assist. And some of my friends that are walking the same journey, what I have noticed within them. And one of the first things that we have to learn as we go through the spiritual maturity, the spiritual strength, the mind strength, and why it's important is because, and we talked about this in other videos, how if you're not properly healed or going through your own healing journey and you have a lot of traumas, those traumas can pull you down or pull you into into astral planes of existence that can be very disturbing. And what I'm talking about, and people know about this, so I'm not making this up. This is not the first time that you might be hearing this, and this is not another one coming up with this. This is something that has been passed down from generation to generation, from spiritual master to spiritual master, so that we can receive those teachings. Just like we have the light, we have the dark. Just like we have spirits of the lights, we have the spirits of the darkness. And just like that, we can also go into the astral planes where a lot of darkness exists. And when we have a lot of traumas that we're dealing with, we tend to be pulled in that direction naturally. So the spirits, in order for you to avoid going into the astral planes where those dark forces reside or be tricked by those, you have to develop your mind, your spiritual strength, and spiritual maturity. So the first step to go through this spiritual maturity so that you can get ready to really invoke spirits before you start working with spirits in a way that you can see true results. I'm not talking about invoking any spirits, by the way. I'm talking about invoking spirits that are very highly elevated, that are going to require from you that you wake up spiritually. And that requires for you to also go through your own healing process. And that healing process starts with the first step, which is spiritual, which is internal reflection, whether it is for physical symptoms, emotional, mental, or spiritual symptoms that you might be experiencing. Why is this important? Is because when we go to the internal reflection, we're moving specific energy. This is a gift from one spirit guide that I work with. They told me that when we start reflecting on a specific part of our body where we feel a lot of emotions, a lot of movement sensations, it's because the higher self or your spirit team is intensifying the energy in that area so that you can pick up the clues about what is that teaching you, what is it trying to tell you. So when you go to the internal reflection of moving energy, emotions out of a specific area, for example, if you meditate or if you sit down to reflect and you feel a lot of heaviness in one leg, then you have to go into asking yourself, what is this telling me? What is the emotion that comes up with it? What is a specific experience that may come up with it? And in the process of doing that, you're going to go back into previous experiences where you felt that emotion. The emotion is the clue here. The emotion is going to be the clue to, is it something that I am excited about or something that I'm afraid of, something that I am, is it teaching me or showing me that I'm not moving forward with my life? Is it telling me that I'm feeling stuck? What is it that is telling you? Eventually, when you go through the process of a lot of internal reflection, meaning when somebody triggers you because they did something to you, these people also become a mirror so that you can reflect on what is the trigger. So the clues may come from other people triggering you or from your own body telling you there is something there that needs to be addressed. If you don't pay attention to it, you're going to prolong the healing process and you're not going to be able to go through the other steps. So the first step is crucial because you have to be able to go through the first step to continue the following steps. So the first step, is internal reflection, thinking about what triggers might be there, why are people triggering you, or why your body is telling you there is an illness, there is a misalignment of energy, where there is an area that you don't like about yourself, or whether there is an intense pinching or throbbing or something. There is communication between your spirit team, your higher self, and you, the lower self you, telling you, pay attention. Sometimes it could be very harsh because you haven't been paying attention. So they will make it difficult to the point where you feel like, I'm out of air. I think I'm having a heart attack. Oh no, I'm having a heart attack. Oh no, my goodness, call 911. And you go to the emergency and there is nothing. Sometimes it feels like you're just so stuck that you don't know what to do. And that is also teaching you something. What is it that is teaching you? There is always a lesson. There is always communication happening between your spirit team, your higher self, and you, the lower you. That internal reflection is going to lead to interior peace if you go through the process of reflection. Now, there is a blog post on my website, soulhealingtribe.com, that you can go to if you have challenges understanding how to do the reflection. There are specific words. You can go through that blog post and see which words do I identify with and work that way. Oh, I feel defeated. Okay, what does that mean? When was the last time that I felt defeated? And you take it back and back and back until you get to the root. So it is a process. Once you go through the first step of reflection, you're going to go to the second one, which is you forgiving yourself and others, releasing any cords that don't no longer serve you. And it's not just with people. A lot of people think it's just people. It could be businesses, work experiences, or regular different experiences. So it's not just people. Sometimes you do have to release cords with a specific experience, a project that didn't work out, a project that really taught you how challenging life can be, or maybe you gave up too soon. Maybe you went into a business partnership that didn't work out and there is a lot of energy surrounding that. Maybe it was a school. You went to school and you went through a lot of trauma in that school. All of that has a core attached to that experience. So you visualize and you go through the process of releasing those core. And just remember, it's not just people. It can be things, projects, buildings, businesses, experiences, right? I think I'm making sense. So how do you get to that forgiveness though? It's crucial because it's not just I forgive you. If you don't feel an aroma to this forgiveness, when you meditate to it, when you have dreams with it, when you go into trance, trying to give you the different scenarios how you can experience this forgiveness, or when you see those people, there is no longer a dislike, discomfort. It's just nothing. Or it could be sweet, like I know I've forgiven them. I do no longer have those feelings, and therefore I'm neutral to whatever they do or how they do it or what they say or don't say. There is no an emotional attachment that is of a low vibration. So that forgiveness, but the hardest forgiveness is to ourselves. How do we forgive ourselves when we have thought we are X, Y, and Z? We are the worst, we are this. I mean, if you pay attention to the thoughts that you create in your mind about yourself, you'll be mind blown that a lot of it is negative. So stopping those patterns is key because you're caught in the habits of you thinking a certain way. Why this is crucial though, is because the auric field has the records of all of these traumas. And it is almost like a blueprint of the good things, the bad things. And when you don't pay attention to that, what you do is that you go into meditation And these recordings in the auric field have signals, and those signals communicate with other things that are in other dimensions. We all know that we're not just this energy body, right? So that information in the auric field allows for other things that are vibrating at the same frequency to come in contact with us. And if we don't know how to release those things, then they stay and they stay until they penetrate and become part of us. And we have done a lot of conversations about this. So I'm not going to go into that. Then we have the fact that a lot of people want to invoke different spirits. And one thing that they don't realize is free will. And we have to talk about free will. We have talked about free will before. But it is important to touch on this again because a lot of people don't understand. Spirits that are very highly elevated, they never tell you that you have to do something. You have to obey, you have to do this. It's always a recommendation. And because it's a recommendation, very seldomly, they're going to ask you to do something that sounds like a command. And they also respect free will. We see it all the time. Even in 21 divisions, I will be asking for someone, is this possible to work on this specific challenge? And sometimes they say they haven't finished learning the lesson. And I'm not talking about quantum healing, I'm talking about 21 divisions work, where the spirit is invoked and the spirit says, no, they have not learned. They haven't learned the lesson. And because they haven't learned the lesson, they're not going to do anything with them. These are spirits. I'm not talking about quantum healing. I'm talking about 21 division spirits that I have worked with 4 people. And those spirits will not mess with some of those people until they learn the lesson. So if these spirits that are very highly elevated are telling some of these people, no, we're not, even when I want because I want clients to heal. It's like, no, this is not how it works. And sometimes they will do it, sometimes they won't. I mean, I had a case of a woman, she was dealing with a cough for 12 years. I thought it was 15 years, but she said 12 years. And Anaisa comes and we do a whole ceremony, healing ceremony. And she comes and through me, using my hands, heal this woman. And I have the video. I have to post the video. It's in Spanish though, but you will see the person and all of that. And it's like, I don't know if I have it here to show you guys. Let me see if I have it. And Anaisa comes and does her job, and she heals the person because she finally got it. But for 12 years, well, we never worked on her before, but for 12 years, she had this issue. And she has seen other people for this, and she had gone through a lot of doctors and a lot of work that she did before coming for this specific ceremony. Let me see if I can find them. And Anaisa healed her. Where did I don't know if I, okay. I don't know if you guys can.
Mi nombre es Ángela.
Let me know if you can see this.
Soy dominicana y vengo a compartir mi testimonio. Pues bien, les cuento. Yo tuve una tos por 12 años, más o menos. 12 años. Una tos que llegué a ir a varios médicos en Santo Domingo y ninguno daban con el problema. Luego emigré aquí a Estados Unidos, donde cuando llegué a los 15 días me internaron y duré 2 semanas interna. Ellos no encontraron el problema, me hicieron varios estudios, análisis, de todo, y el problema, solo ellos decían que en mi pulmón, creo que fue en el izquierdo, apareció una sombra, pero que ellos no sabían, no detectaban qué era, en fin es que le hicieron varios estudios, a esa sombra y a todo. A mí me hicieron estudio, análisis, eso es increíble. De todo me hicieron y nada. Bueno, pues mejoré un poco y me dieron la de alta. Luego vine para acá, para la casa, y a 2 semanas volví otra vez con el mismo problema. Ellos siguieron dándome seguimiento, pero nada que encontraban el problema. Entonces viajé a Miami, donde Victoria Amador, ella, tuve una consulta de sanación con ella y esa consulta fue extraordinaria, 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 mi gente. Yo me sané, eso es increíble. Eso hay que verlo para creerlo. Yo me sané. Victoria Amador me curó.
Well, it wasn't
O
me.
sea, me curó Dios a través de las manos de Victoria Amador. Unas manos que Dios siga bendiciendo para que ella siga curando a las demás personas. Por eso doy mi testimonio. Para que todo aquel que tenga un problema y quiera sanar.
So the mysterious they will heal whoever they think that needs to be healed. Sometimes they will go and they will not receive any healing. And they say, oh no, the person didn't do the right job. You know, I thought they were really good, but it didn't work, even though the servidor de misterio really tried and did the best they could. They couldn't get healed, right? Because they were not ready for that healing. The misterio knows who's ready to receive that healing and who still needs to go through more work in order to receive that healing. Let me turn this off. So my idea was to help you understand that when it comes to free will, a lot of these spirits, they're not going to break free will. The concept of free will is interesting because the spirits that are very highly elevated, you see the Radha spirits, everything they do is slow. Why everything they do is slow? Why a lot of people work with the petrol energy, the fire energy that is faster and fiery? They're the same energies essentially, but they come in a different vuelta. So the concept is very complicated. And I'm not saying that it's black or white, you know, but what I'm saying is we have to understand that a lot of these spirits that are very highly elevated, if they're not willing to break free will and things are done more strategically, what makes us feel like we can break free will when we worry about our family and friends and we want to help them no matter what? We worry that we want to be everything that we can be so that they can have it better, that maybe they're not stronger, so I have to do everything myself. I can handle it, but they cannot handle it. What gave you the idea that they don't have a contract that they have to fulfill? And by you getting in the way, you're actually taking a lesson away from them. What gave you the idea that that's the case or that that's not the case? That you might be taking things, lessons, experiences away from those that you worry so much. So a lot of people want to do things even without the other people permission because they worry, they think that that's the only way. And they're breaking free will. I'm not talking just about the people that want to keep someone against the will. That's like the average thing. I'm talking about you might have someone that is sick in the family and you want to heal them no matter what. But you haven't really had that conversation. Do they want healing? Are they able to receive the healing? Are they done with whatever karmic balancing needed to happen for them to be able to receive the healing then? And then when you free yourself from that need, that desire to be everybody's savior, you also learn to stop, to stop, like you learn to accept the situation, some situations. And because you learn to accept some of these situations, it's freeing. It feels like you're freeing yourself so that you can be yourself and worry about yourself. Some people, it's not like they can do anything. You know, they cannot do much, but they worry so much that they spend half of the day worrying about that thing because they haven't freed themselves from it. We also talked about the contemplation and reflection, observing how other people behave, and that is also energy discernment, learning to discern energy, so that when you go and you invoke a spirit, and sometimes it happens, you invoke a spirit and something else comes through, and if you don't know how to send it away, or you don't know how to discern that it's not what it is, you could engage in a situation where you get tricked. And I had seen those type of situations where people get tricked and they start developing a relationship with an entity. Oh my God, what is the name of that guy? He has a YouTube channel, over 100,000 subscribers, and he's a priest. He brings people that have been tricked by entities. Some of these entities are taking the names of the mysterios to say that they are the mysterios, and they have these people even commit crimes, try to kill people, serious stuff. If I find the name, I'll put the link. I mean, he is against anything like 21 divisions, but the people that he brings forward, those people know what they're talking about, because a lot of the things that they do are very similar to what we do in 21 divisions and voodoo. The only thing is that those entities were demonic entities that tricked them to believe that they were Believercan or Anaísa or Saint Marta or other different mysterios. Candelina, I mean, he has quite a few of those very powerful testimony of people that truly believed that they were in 21 divisions or voodoo, and they were working with demonic entities. And those entities had them do things that are extremely serious. I know I probably won't put it on my channel because I don't even want to spread those or to have my name engaged in their platform, because they really are against 21 divisions. But the testimony that I have from people that have gone through severe trauma as a result of engaging with supposedly 21 divisions entities, mysterios, but they were not the mysterios that we work with or that I work with. There were mysterios that were mysterio. I wouldn't even call them mysterio. They were demons. And these demons pretended to be different mysterios like Believercan, Anaísa, and so on. And they committed serious crimes. I'm talking about people even killing children to do specific magic work, offerings, sacrifices. This is serious stuff. Just talking about it is making my stomach go crazy, because people don't realize this is serious. And I think that's why we keep going back to the same thing. Those people that were tricked, if you listen to their story, they had traumas. They had issues with parents. The parents has issue. The parents had major issues. They grew up in issues, in a traumatic, turbulent childhood. So what do you think is going to happen when you start invoking spirits and you're coming from that? You're coming with all of that baggage. Who do you think you're going to attract? We did the video on the astral doorways, and we talked about some of these things, about the doors that you can land. And what happens when you go through those doors and you're not really there. You haven't gone through your healing process. You haven't gone through your reflection, forgiveness. So where do you end up? Is where there is everything that you resonate with. If you are feeling hatreds, that's where you go. And those entities that feel those low vibrations are in the very low astral planes. And when you go land there, what you're going to see is going to be very disturbing. And they can trick you because they are master trickster spirits. So, another thing that you have to go through the process of is acceptance of yourself. Some people, I used to have this issue with my weight on and off. I was skinny all my life. Then I go to college. I gained like 15 pounds. Then I had my baby. I gained like 50 freaking pounds or 70 pounds. I lost it all. Looked amazing. Then I went through my dark night and I gained it all. Then I finished with my dark night. Then I was again healthy, like 140 pounds. And then I go through my second dark night and it went back again. And then I'm like, this is keeps repeating for a reason. And of course, I have many reasons besides the fact that I love to eat rice and beans. But I learned to accept myself. Like I am, for the first time in my life, I noticed a couple of years ago, I'm okay. I'm good. Yeah, it might not be healthy, but I am okay. Like I am okay. I am happy with myself. I wasn't when I was going through the ups and downs because I wasn't accepting myself. And if I lose the weight, I lose it, but I am not desperate in any way. I accept myself. So the acceptance, why is it key? Because it comes with peace. It's not an acceptance of giving up, but it's an acceptance of maturity, understanding. And I had specific reasons why they told me. My spirit team told me that I chose this body for many specific reasons. Understanding those reasons and accepting them was crucial for me because it was one of the things that I disliked the most, the fact that I was going through the ups and downs. I go through a dark night, up. I'm starting feeling good, so I'm walking, I'm enjoying life, and it goes down naturally. But when it goes down, then I used to forget my purpose. So life will be different. Like my priorities will shift. I will be all about business and money and this and that, and my priorities shifted. So it was my higher self at the end of the day telling me you need to focus, but because I wasn't understanding, I will gain the weight so that I could go inward and reflect because I didn't know how to reflect otherwise, apparently. So eventually I accept myself, and of course maybe others wouldn't accept it because just because I accept it doesn't mean others accept, and that is on their terms. Whatever problem they have with them is on them. It's not on me. It's on them. So I learned to accept myself the way I am, and that has been very freeing because I don't really care that other people might be saying or thinking. When you go to baseball and everybody's like nice and fit, you might feel a certain way. I'm like, why am I feeling this way? I'm good with myself. I am free. I don't have anything attached to it. And if I lose the weight tomorrow, I lose it, but not because I am desperate. It's coming from what I'm saying is it's coming from a different place. But would it be nice to lose a few pounds? Yes, because why would it be nice? Because when I go through certain activations, it takes me longer to recover. And that is one thing that I have noticed over the last few years. The different activations kicks me harder than maybe somebody that is much healthier, like body wise. So acceptance is key because when we accept part of what makes us who we are and we understand why we chose this body, one of the things that I tapped into is that in a previous life, I also abused my body because I was a monk and I will spend days without eating or moving. And I'm like, what? I cannot even imagine myself doing that. But to see it myself and experience what it felt like to be at that divine state for days. And now to see how there has to be this balance because that was extreme. To balance that energy, then I come and I'm enjoying my rice and my beans. So, anyways, moving on. Energy discernment, situation discernment, people discernment, acceptance, reflection, forgiveness, contemplation is key. Another thing is that being responsible with your choices and decisions is also crucial. And this is one where a lot of people that are into the occult may have a lot of like, am I working with the right entity? How do I know? Are you tricking me? Because of everything that we have talked about, we have to be concerned about these things. How will this affect my family? And so on. Or when you are looking at a specific job or looking at a specific situation, are you able to see the multiple sides of the equation? Or are you just looking at your way and the only way? That's the only way. And if that's the only way, that means that you haven't learned what is energy discernment, because you have to be able to look at the different pieces and study the situation before you respond to the situation. So, situation and people discernment is key. But energy discernment is when you can see the energy of the situation, you can see the energy of the people and spirits, and know when something feels a little funny. And you can study that so that you can learn to discern energy too, so that you can become more proficient with spirit discernment. Because when you go through the dreams and trance, you're with your eyes closed, it's yourself within your mind. That's how you see. So you have to learn energy discernment in order for you to really be able to invoke spirits and do so responsibly. Now the other one is almost like knowing that there will be many tests and challenges, but every time that you go through a new one, a new test, a new version of that challenge is coming in layers. So it might be the same challenge, or you think it is the same challenge, but it's at a different level. So knowing that you're going to go through that is also crucial, so that you also go through the process of reflection. What is this teaching me now? And when you go through all of these things, you will be a different person. You cannot be the same person today, tomorrow, because that means you haven't grown. But if you go through this process, quickly within a month or two, you'll notice a big difference. And you will notice things that you haven't noticed before. And when you start invoking the different spirits, for example, if you're going to work with a muerto, with a disembodied energy, you're going to feel a different energetic fluid within you that is different than when a very powerful spirit of light comes through you. It feels different. I mean, it's completely different. One energy may be, it feels more closer to being human, closer to some of those entities are going to feel like almost like they're like you can see them and you're like, do you see them too? Because they feel so real. Sometimes they don't feel real, but the way that you see them or feel them can be very strong or can be very weak, but you can feel like a feather. It depends on you and the clues that you get and the different entities. And when you feel that fluid, energetic fluid running through you, because something when like when you're sleeping and you're like something is off, you in the middle of the night you might be sleeping and you notice something is off. Immediately notice your body, and your body's going to tell you whether it is good or bad. And if you're neutral, continue the conversation. Who are you? What do you want? But you have to learn within your body what are the clues that your spirit team is telling you how to discern energy. I have very specific clues that my spirit team gives me, whether it is a certain animal doing something, so I know, be careful, something is coming. And I mean, I'm telling you, when my spirit team is giving me the clues, I am ready for what's coming because they already have given me the clue to be ready. So in the middle of the night, I may wake up and start the process of deflecting that energy because I know it's already coming. So by the time they come, they don't make it there. So you can still see in the astral what's going on, and you can still have that fight. But they don't even have to make it to you, close enough to you, because remember, you have family around. You don't want that energy in your house. So you do have to learn how to do this from before they even make it close enough to you, so that you can protect yourself. Because if you allow it to touch you, it's not too late because you can always fight it, but you have to know which one is okay to allow next to you, which one is not okay, and which ones you have to send away. And if you're invoking and you invoke and something feels off, you also have to know that you have the power. You invoke them, ask them to leave immediately. And if you don't know or you have doubts, they can clutch on because those doubts allow them to stay. So by you commanding the entity that shouldn't have come through to leave you, and of course there are different ways to do this, but I'm giving you like the simple version without going into anything specific, is for you to understand that you have the power. A lot of those entities, if you invoke the wrong spirits by mistake, you can command them to leave you. And sometimes they will do so in a mean way, laughing or making fun of you or whatever. But when the spirits of light come through you at the beginning, it could feel a little off because you don't know what to expect. You don't know if you should feel this way, if you should feel that way, right? So you have to go through the process of learning to strengthen your mind, to gain that spiritual strength, that maturity that you need, so that by then, when you invoke spirits that are of any type of spirits, that you know how to address the situation, how to deal with the situation. And because you're not allowing traumas to open up the different holes within the auric field, it's going to be easier for you to automatically avoid letting something that doesn't belong near you to come through you. Does that make sense? Like, it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And the biggest thing that I can tell you is that if you really want to learn to invoke spirit, you have to have faith. You have to ask for protection from your spirit team to keep you protected, even when you don't believe that you have a spirit team. A lot of people say, I don't have one, I don't know who they are. That's okay. You're asking your main spirit team to keep you safe and protected. Only the spirit team that works with you, that has the highest good in mind for you, obviously including your higher self, right? So invoking spirits, don't do that just to prove to yourself that it's real, that they can come through, because something will come through. So I guess this is a warning for some people, because I have had over the last few clients that question about, am I doing it right? Am I able to do this even if I'm not initiated? Yes, you can invoke spirits even if you're not initiated, because people are spiritual by nature, right? So if you have that ability to connect with them, you're going to be able to connect and invoke them. And if you're a channeler or medium, you could even mount them. So with that in mind, I'm just going to read a couple of the comments, and then I'm going to end here because I know it's been longer than I expected. Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you for being here. I'm going to take this question. Thank you. So the question that we have: how will you remove holes from the auric field? Um, Normally, there are different baths that are done to seal off the auric field, to clear and then seal. So there are two: one to remove, one to seal. And in quantum healing, we also go through that process for those that don't like to do baths and stuff like that. You could go through a process of meditation if you're advanced and go through that process of invoking your spirit team to clear and seal the auric field. Um, we had just today I had a session with someone that had a hole in the auric field, and I don't know if she's here. Let me see. I don't know if Tiffany's here, but Tiffany had a session where she had a hole in her auric field in the right side, and it was clear out of a lot of junk that needed to be cleared out, and the residue was clear, and then it was sealed so nothing else can come through that space. You know, we could have gone into a lot of magical stuff about all the things that we can do to invoke spirits, and I think there are a lot of channels about that. So I don't want to repeat the same thing that perhaps other people are repeating. I wanted to give you something that is to get you ready, so that when you do invoke your spirit team, you are more aware, more conscious of the things that you're doing, and knowing that through the healing of your healing, you going through your own healing, is also going to allow you to tap into spirits of light, so that you don't have to be worried about the things that you don't want to be worried about. Because when you go through your own healing process, trust me, you will understand that you are much, much more powerful than what you think you are. And when you really know that, you cannot be afraid. But if there is fear associated with invoking the spirits, you can do a lot of harm for yourself by letting things that don't have the highest intention in mind for you. So I'm going to leave it here. It's already been an hour, too long. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I hope you get something beautiful out of this conversation today. And if you want the link to the priest that I mentioned that talks about the people that are tricked by demons and they think they're working with mysterios, email me directly, because I'm not going to put the link here. I don't want to infuse my energy with their energy, so I'm being very careful about that. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the weekend.